Hi, this is Nancy Reynolds, Stampin' with Nutsy. I thought I'd come on and share a card with you tonight. So here we go. Let me just get myself up here. I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to show you the stamp sets I'm using. Have a little stack of stamp sets that I got or purchased from the catalog right away, and I haven't used them. So I thought it was time to get busy. So I've got Grandeur, which is pretty flowers and leaves. And then that is a host set. And the other one is Good Feelings. A really nice, pretty large sentiment. And we are going to make a card. I've actually made two with a couple of differences in them, and I'll show those to you when we're finished. So here we are, down to the stamp table. Here we go. We have got, okay, so to see the computer or the iPad, I take my glasses off, but to actually be able to craft, I have to put the glasses back on. So here we go. I've got a card base, 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and that's 14.9 centimeters by 29 centimeters, folded at 10.5 centimeters. And I am using the thick basic white. And one of the things I want you to remember to do, and sometimes I forget, and I'm usually sorry when I do, is to give that score line a nice, good burnish with your bone folder. I have layers for the inside and the front, and it's Evening Evergreen, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches. So I'm having a very narrow border, or 10.3 by 14.7 centimeters. And then we're going to put our sentiment and our focal front piece on one of these, and one will go inside. And this is 4.5 1/4 inches by 10.4 or 10 by 14.4 centimeters for those of you who use A4 cardstock. So let's just get started. First, I'm going to show you what I did. I took these wonderful dies. They're the Stylish Shapes dies, and I used this one, I believe, in the circle. And I'm going to use that as a layer for my card front. So what I did was I cut it out of the middle of one of my Evening Evergreen sheets so that we have conserved cardstock. And that's the whole. It doesn't show once you get this on. It's all good. So let us set this aside. We're going to set these aside because I want to do our flower. And I am going to use blends to color. And I used blends just on one of my other cards. And I used the stamps because there's a fill-in stamp for the middle for the second card. Maybe I should show those to you before I finish this up. So here's the card I used blends on. Oh, I also might have used a little bit of Wink of Stella. I don't know if you can see that sparkle. I kind of like this all colored in. When I did my first card, I used just the stamp set and the fill-in stamp and put it on the green. So on this card, we're going to stamp on white, but use the blends to color it, and I'm going to fussy cut it out like I did for this card. So it's kind of a combination of the two. I wanted to see how it would look. So because I've got a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to make sure I've got plenty of my black Memento ink on there, or Tuxedo Black. And I am going to put it on a mat that's got some cush, because these stamps don't have any give to them, so you need a little bit softer surface. So there we go. And let's go ahead, and I thought polished pink would be fun this time. And I've got my blends, my light and my dark, and I'm going to start with the dark. Oh, I'm going to put the lid on that. Oh, maybe I'll get the cat hair off of it first. Not cat hair, dog hair. yellow lab hair to be exact. I say that hair gets everywhere. I don't know if you know this, but there are two types of ends. There's the thin end, which is really great for writing, and then there's the fatter brush end. When I'm doing little things, I tend to like to use the narrower end, the writing end. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm going to follow just the lines that Stampin' Up! Artists have put in here. So some of my ends are dark. I think I am going to do these in the darker. And then I'm going to take my light brush end, because the area is bigger, and just start blending these out. Going over them so that it doesn't look like you can see lines, but you can see the variation of color. The nice thing about the blends are they're alcohol markers, and they do not make streaks, which I like. So you just color over. Doesn't matter if you make little circles or you do straight lines. The one thing you want to do is to stay in the line and not get it too wet on the outside, because it will bleed. But we have a color lifter for that. And normally when I have my blends, I have my color lifter handy. Today is not one of those days. I have it back on the shelf. I forgot to get it out. So let's hope I can just be careful. Blending that in. So there's our flower. Now I decided to take a moment, and blends being alcohol markers, they pretty much dry very fast. So I've got my Wink of Stella, give it a little shake. I have been using it today, so I know that it's working. And I'm going to go over my flower and make it pretty and sparkly, because I am a fan of the sparkle. I don't know, what about you? Do you like sparkle? And I might just put a second coat on just in spots, just to make sure there's plenty of sparkle. Now, I don't know if you can see it while it's down flat, but I think if I bring it up here, you might be able to see that there's some sparkle. There's the sparkle. I found it. I'm going to grab my scissors, my little snips. I have two pairs of snips handy. One has a ribbon on it. That's my ribbon scissors. If you ever had to get after your family for cutting using your fabric scissors or your ribbon scissors for paper or plastic or whatever, well, this one is pretty easy to tell. It's got the ribbon on it, so nobody gets to use it. Because when you cut paper and plastic and all of that other stuff, it dulls your scissors. And yes, they can be sharpened. And mine actually have cut through a couple of gluey things, and so they probably need to be cleaned with a little bit of alcohol. So when you're cutting, you're fussy cutting, and this is a really easy flower to fussy cut. It doesn't have a huge amount of detail. So I'm just going to go around it. I'm going to leave a little bit of white, which kind of allows you to be a little bit not perfect. Right about here, when that big piece gets in my way, I cut it off. And it will go into my white scrap bin. I keep my scraps usually with my cardstock, except for the white, the very vanilla, and my black. And those stay with in special little bins close to my desk, my work area. So how's your day been? Here in the Pacific Northwest, it's been very pretty. I have enjoyed it. Lovely sunshine. It's got a fall feel to the air, and it's crisper, I should say, not crispier. That would be the bread I took out of my bread maker just a few minutes ago. It was quite luscious. Yeah, just a fall feel. It gets dark a little earlier. But I am still kind of into the summery colors. Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to have just a little bit of a curl, because we all know petals don't lie perfectly flat. So I just gave these a little curl. Just bend them up just a tiny bit. And I'm going to take that green circle, and I'm going to take a little Tombow glue and put it on, probably on my flower. And then put this down on my circle. There we are. We have our focal point all created. Let's work on our sentiment. I decided to use You're on My Mind and in My Heart for the second one. I used that on I guess this is the third card I'm making with this theme, but You're in My Mind and in My Heart with the Highland Heather blends. I used Sending Sunshine and Good Feelings Your Way with the Calypso Coral. And when you use a great big sentiment like this, you might want to use your stamparatus so you can double stamp a couple of times. But I found that this really did line up and take the ink very well. So I put that down, hold it for a moment. To transfer the ink, and there we are. If I had it on my stamparatus, I'd probably try it one more time, because it looks like I didn't get it quite as well. Maybe I'll get my stamparatus out. And I'm going to use the same one. I'll put it on straight with my Remember not to let your magnets touch. They're really strong. They can pinch your fingers, which does not feel good. Believe me when I tell you, it does not feel good. And I'm going to clean my stamp off on my chamois. Do you all have chamois? I keep it in a clear stamp case. And if you happen to order a chamois from me, one of the things that I do for my customers is when they order a chamois, I send them a clear stamp case with a label for it. Okay. There, let's put that on. Like that. And then I have got some stamps up above here, so it's got something to rest on. Otherwise, I don't like that angle. It's harder for me to ink it up. So here we go. We'll put it down. We'll rub it in. I do have a little hockey puck that helps me when my arthritis in my hands is a little more pronounced. I sometimes have trouble getting all the ink down. Well, that's practically perfect. I only see one little spot that could have had a little more of a press. So let's make it really black. do this one more time. And it's that E right there. So I'm going to make sure that I press extra hard right there. And we get a good coverage. Oh, that looks great. Should have done that the first time. I am just going to set this aside. I will wash my stamp when we're finished. One of the things I wanted to do is I didn't want to just put this on and have it sit. I wanted to make sure that there was some greenery behind it. And I wasn't in the mood to cut out a lot of greenery, so I got the stamp and my, I believe it's Mossy Meadow. But I did use Evening Evergreen here. So let me grab my Evening Evergreen ink. I really do like Evening Evergreen. It is one of my favorite inks, my favorite greens. And so I just kind of looked at this and thought, now where should this go? And so I put some greenery out and around the edges. Isn't this a pretty stamp? I like the way there's a real nice dimension to the leaf with that little twist. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that gives me green all around. Makes me happy. Let's take some of my very favorite ribbon. I love this. This is the mesh ribbon. It's the metallic mesh. And it's a beautiful silver. And what I like to do is to run just a little bit of seal up the sides, catch in my ends. Let's see. There's that one. I'm going to catch this one. And we're not going to actually tie a bow. Grab my ribbon scissors because I want it to cut nicely. And I'm going to also grab a silicone mat because that little bit of stickiness would stick to my paper. And we don't want that. I used a dimensional for my flower. And I didn't want it to sag. So I might have used a few extra dimensionals, but that's okay. It won't be sagging in the middle or around the sides. And then I do try, that's the one thing I do try to do, is I always try to take my dimensionals backs and put them in the garbage can. Because you know what happens with dimensional backs. Look, I'm almost out. The good news is I have an extra one sitting, just waiting for me to use because I like them so much. And then what I did was I just kind of pushed this up and under, grabbed it from the top, and tied a knot. I didn't see the need for a bow, and the knot holds really nice. I'm going to kind of push it as close to that as I can get it. And then I'm going to give it a little snip. And here's our front. We're going to glue that right onto our Evening Evergreen matte layer. It does help. I didn't get any of it in the middle, so I won't mess up with the hole. It helps to be able to see your line. And because they're cut in layers, it's pretty easy to get on. And I went ahead and, because I thought we could use just a little more dimension on it, and I still had all of these lovely, oh, I'm going to put it on this, all the lovely dimensionals handy. I thought we would give this one a little rise here. And 2 more. And wait till we get to putting on the very pretty trinkets. Boy, those dimensionals. So here we are on our card with just a little bit of a border all around. And we're going to do the same on the inside. Well, you should always look at your card and see, is it upside down? Because if it's upside down, you don't want to put everything down hard. You want to be able to move it. And I see I could have used just a little bit more adhesive in here. So let's just put a little seal there. And now we'll open our card to see which way it opens and put this right back on. That is the nice thing. If you haven't patted everything down good and hard, you've got a little bit of time to fix it. So there we are. Our inside is going to have this layer of the green, Evening Evergreen. So let's go ahead and put that on. And then we'll decorate our inside layer. I didn't put anything inside because I thought that there really was enough sentiment on the front. And I do want to have something to write. But I'm going to put some flowers on the inside. Grabbing my Memento ink and my blends again. And this is just going to go without the greenery, I think. Just going to put 1 flower down here. I'm going to make that a full-size flower. And then the flower up in the corner is not going to be totally, it's just going to be a corner of the flower. Which is why I always like to have a piece of scratch paper on my Pierce mat. Because I am now going to use my blends, and we'll do the very same thing. We'll just color in. We want it to have some shading. And I'm going to do these in the darker and polished pink. It's really a very pretty color, isn't it? And then we'll just do some dimension here. Following the shading lines that the artist put in. Maybe not perfectly, but closely. And then taking the brush end of the light polished pink and going over just to make sure that we've got our colors blended. And can you guess what we're going to do after this? Oh, of course, more Wink of Stella. Because we've got sparkle on the outside, let's have sparkle on the inside. I didn't bring over my envelope, but I will do the same to an envelope. Although I probably won't color it in because it does bleed. That's the one thing that these really saturate the paper, so you can see them on the see the color on the opposite side. And truly, you don't have to worry if there's a white spot or two. It just adds interest. I think I like my blends because I can color quickly. And I've never been one who cared much for streaks, so this makes me happy. And a little, let's see, Wink of Stella. We won't be embellishing on the inside because we want a flat inside. So I'll make sure there's plenty of sparkle in the middle with my Wink of Stella. And then a little bit up here. Some people with a little more self-control might just do the shading lines with Wink of Stella. But that is obviously not me. Let's let it set for just a moment. Well, it'll be fine. This is what you get, the bleed through that I talked about. And we're going to put this on. And then we're going to get our trinkets out. There we go. There's lots of room to write. It's pretty on the inside. It's pretty on the outside. And we're going to make it even better because we're going to bring out, I use this both for the silver and the gold because we have silver and gold flowers, and they're the adhesive backed trinkets. And I'm going to take a silver one and put it in the middle of my flower. And then I thought, we always want to keep them in odd numbers. So I put 3 up in this corner because it needed something. And then one more. So we want to be able to make triangles with them because that is pleasing to the eye. So here's one right here. And there's our card. Wasn't that quick and easy? Little stamp inks and paper, some dimensionals, and the blends. This thing seems a little bit long. I think I will take off a little bit more. There. And there we go. Now, if you're worried about that coming undone, you can always take glue dot, use my little pokey tip end, kind of fold it in half. Try not to let it get stuck to my nails. And you can just pop that under it. And that's going to hold it in place. It also helps assure that that's not going to unravel. So here we are. Let me know what you think. Do you like the polished pink, the Highland Heather, or the Calypso Coral? 2 with the silver and 1 with gold. So, thank you for joining me. I am so glad that you are here. Oh, hi Shirley Meitzler, you're watching. I am so glad. Do you know which one do you like best? Which color? I'm thinking that I really like the Highland Heather, but I like the flower fussy cut and put on the green better. Okay. Anyway, that was a fun little card. I just wanted to pop on my business page and share it and say hi to everybody. And I want you to know that I have missed being with you. I've been posting more lately. I know, choices, Shirley. Heather, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm a Highland Heather person. I'm a purple person. So that was one that I really liked. That's what I've got tonight. And I want to again thank you for coming and joining me. And I will be back to Facebook Lives. I have missed doing them on my business page and chatting with everybody. So until I see you again, which will probably be in a couple of weeks, I'm going to say, and I will put on a note that I'm going to come on live and in like half an hour or whatever, so that it'll be easier for you to find me. I love the big words too. They're kind of, I like them and they intimidate me at the same time. I wasn't sure exactly what to do with them. So I was thinking a simple card turned out pretty nice. So I'm going to say good night. Everybody have a good night. Have a good night, Shirley. And happy crafting. Bye-bye.